Unit 4, assignment number 1's notes. Let's do it. All right, guys, so if you were absent in class, you probably want to pause the video right now. We are on Unit 4, assignment number 1's notes. We filled out the area model, given the inside filled out, then completing the outside dimensions. We went over how to work this out. Then we went down and we did the diagonal pattern for a 2x2 area model, where we said if the inside portion of an area model is filled out, you know that it's filled out correctly if the results of the two diagonals equal the same value. And then we are now on using greatest common factor, which is the GCF, to rewrite a sum as a product. So you will see that I have 3 examples right here. All 3 examples here are written as sums, okay? So we are starting with an expression, all 3 of these. They are what are called written as a sum. And what we're going to do is we are going to change them into a product, and we are going to be using the greatest common factor, which is the abbreviation is GCF. So here's how we do it. There's a couple ways we can do it. We're going to use the area model to write this out as a product, okay? So we're going to set up our area model right here for 5x plus 20. And because there's only 2 terms with it, we are going to put the 5x in the left rectangle and the 20 into the right rectangle here. Okay, and then what you want to do is, and I'm going to kind of color code this for you, what you want to do is you want to look at the 2 rectangles, and let's start with the numbers, and you say to yourself, what is the greatest number that divides into 5 and 20, and whatever that is, which in this case is 5, you put that on the outside left of your area model. Okay, then you go to the letters, the variables, and then if there is variables in each of the rectangles, but there is not, as you can see, there's only an X in the left rectangle here. Then if there was another X over here, what we would do is we would take those X's out and put it out here. Okay, but 5 is the greatest number that divides into 5 and 20, okay? Then we are going to fill out the top portion of our area model. So we're going to start with this 5, and we're going to say 5 times what gives me 5x, that is x, so I put an x up here at the top. Follow the 5 over to 20, and you answer the question, 5 times what is 20, that is positive 4, so we put a positive 4 up here. So rewrite using the greatest common factor, GCF, to rewrite a sum as a product. 5x plus 20 would be rewritten as, in parentheses, 5, then multiplied with, in parentheses, x plus 4. Okay, that right there is the product. So right here we have, this is my product, which is 5 multiplied with x plus 4, and the 5x plus 20 is my sum. Okay, 3y squared minus 12y. Moving on, we are going to use the greatest common factor to rewrite that as a product. So because there's 2 terms, we're going to divide my area model into 2 pieces. I'm going to have my first rectangle, I'm going to have a 3 and a y squared. And then in my second rectangle, I'm going to have a 12 and a y. Okay, and then I'm actually going to make that 12 a minus 12, or a negative 12. So I'm going to have a negative 12 along with a y. All right, and you can see as I'm erasing things, I am color coding. If you don't have colored pencils, you could highlight, and this is going to be how we're going to use the greatest common factor. So let's start with the numbers first. Okay, the 3 and the negative 12. Outside over here to the left, you are going to write what is the largest number, the greatest number, that divides into 3 and 12. Don't worry about the negative. That is 3. Okay, then we're going to go to our variables, the y squared and the y. And we're going to say at most, how many y's are there in each of the rectangles? Well, each of the rectangles has at least one y in it. This rectangle has two y's in it. Remember, y squared means y times y, so there's two y's. But the rectangle on the right only has one. So my greatest common factor is 3y. Now I fill along the top. Okay, so 3y multiplied with y would give me 3y squared, so I put a y outside. Okay, now I follow the 3y over here. What would I multiply the 3y with to make it negative 12y? That would be negative 4. So I have a y and a negative 4 outside. So that means when I'm rewriting 3y squared minus 12y, it's going to be, as a product, 3y multiplied with y minus 4. Okay, that was the second one. Last one in blue. We're going to set up our area model here. Now this area model is going to be divided into 3 rectangles vertically. So I'm going to divide it into 3 rectangles as such. I'm going to write the 6w squared z in the first rectangle, and I'm going to color code the numbers in black, the w's in red, the z's in green. Okay, my second rectangle, 15w. So I have my number is 15. I have a variable of w, color coding so you can see what's going on. And in my last rectangle, I have a 3, a w, and a z. Okay, so now let's use the greatest common factor. All right, let's start with my numbers, 6, 15, and 3. What's the biggest, the greatest number that divides into 6, 15, and 3, has to divide into all of them, that is 3. Now let's go to my w's. How many w's are in common in each rectangle? Now remember, w squared means that's w times w, so I have 2 w's. In the middle rectangle, I have a w. In the last rectangle, I have a w. So each rectangle has there's at most one w in common. So I'm going to put a w out there. That is a common factor. How about z's? Is there a z in all 3 of the rectangles? The answer is no. So that means there is not a common z in all 3 rectangles. Okay, now I'm going to fill up the top dimensions. Start with the 3w here. What would you multiply with 3w to make it equal to 6w squared z? That would be 2wz. So I put a 2wz along the top. Next, middle rectangle. I have 3w. What would you multiply with it to make it equal to 15w? That is positive 5. So I put a positive 5. Put the plus symbol there. Okay, last one. I already have the 3w from over here. Follow it over. What would you multiply with 3w to make it equal to 3w squared? You would multiply z with that. And that would be a positive z, so I put a positive z here. So that means rewriting, using the greatest common factor to rewrite my sum, which is what is in blue, as a product. My product would be quantity, which means you're putting it in parentheses, 3w, multiplied with the quantity 2wz plus 15w plus 3wz. There's your notes for Unit 4, assignment number 1.